Over the last few weeks, you've seen things on the aft end of the boat go from bad,
there's definitely holes in the hull,
to worse, to a lot better. We finally seem to have the rust situation under control for the most part, but there are still a few small areas with pretty big rust issues that need to be fixed. And they're going to be the hardest pieces to do. I'm Taryn, this is Logan, and this is Max. Our life rarely goes as planned, and this story is no different. But we are determined to rebuild our beautiful steel boat, even stronger than she was before. And we're bringing you along with us.
Today I'm here at the boat on my own. Taryn is back editing a video for you guys, and I'm gonna be doing the ribs and the gussets, replacing the bits of ribs and gussets around the steering shaft, and it's just going to be a very difficult job to do, so it's probably going to take me all day to do very little. But yeah, I'll start by doing the gussets. I just need to find some, they're only 1/8 inch thick, so I need to find some material that's about 1.5 inches by 13 inches, and then clean that up, put that in, and I'll probably end up having to cut out up to that 1.5 inches of the 2 gussets because they were pretty rotten in that area. And then I'll weld those in before I cut out the rib, or the sections of rib. I think I'll do it in 2 sections. But anyways, that is what I'll be working on today. So, this little guy here needs to be sealed back up. So we have our nice blasted piece of steel. And this is going to fit in here like this. In order to get that in there, we have to mark it where it needs to be and cut the angle of the hull. You can see how in the center here, where my shadow is, it is not quite matching the curve of the hull. So we got to do that and then mark out the top and get it to fit in there properly.
Getting into these tight spaces is not easy. It's not easy on the body, for the tools, or for the morale. But that makes it even more necessary to get them fixed so we can make sure that we don't end up with mystery holes in the future.
Alright, so that's what it all looks like afterwards. Once the patch is in. And then this side. So that's patch number 1. And now to do the difficult side. Alright, this side is finished for the gusset. Pretty hard to see in there. So basically, yeah, so just welded in this piece all the way along here. Left a gap out at the end so that water can still get around and come in here. It's a bit messy here still. All the slag and stuff, but yeah, that is that piece all welded in. The next 2 pieces don't look so bad from this side, right here and here, but on the inside, yeah, so on the inside they're almost right through, and of course we have to patch that mess still. The plan is to cut this guy out and slide a plate in underneath, covering in here and then weld this back, like weld a new piece back in here. That's the plan anyways. We'll see what actually happens.
But before those pieces were cut out, some extra bracing had to be added to make sure everything stayed in the correct shape.
So this will basically hold on to keep the shape of this main rib here. Something I probably should have done to begin with, but forgot about it. So we get to try and put it on now. Something like that. And you can see that there's gaps. So it's actually, it's got to be ground out a bit more in the center there. But there's gaps here, basically, and we're gonna try and pull everything straight, which is gonna be rather difficult. Well, the GoPro just shut off on me randomly because it's a piece of garbage. But anyways, that is the stiffener to keep everything nice and straight in line. Can't tell with the GoPro because everything looks bent, but it is nice and straight. Now we can cut out for pieces. We knew we had some holes through this doubler plate, or sorry, through the hull plating in this area here, down with by our steering. But I just explored some of these holes to make them, well, I just ground them out basically to make them bigger, to see what I was dealing with. And this goes right inside of the skeg. So that's really not good. So we have to seal that up and then plate this whole area. It's up here, it's really good still. There's a bit of pitting, but it's not bad. It's just below this line here, down. So I'm gonna make a patch to go in here and we'll clean it up and weld it in.
God, it's a big ugly patch. Ooh.
Not all of this ended up being filmed, but Logan also gusseted the center line gussets just to make it stronger, and then welded on a new patch to close this area up again. And then it was time to do the same on the other side.
I finally got the patches done to the main rib running just ahead of the steering. Patched the thin hull plating that was above the skeg because it actually went through in one spot. We just have this reinforcing gusset on here for now. That's just temporary, that'll be coming off. It's really tight in here. Yeah, so there's a bit more welding and a bit more fabricating and stuff to do back here. A few spots in welding for the hull plate on the top I just want to touch up. So what I ended up doing was, because I put this plate here, so now this is raised, so that's a limber hole down here. I don't know if you can see that. There's a limber hole coming from back there. So there's one there, and there's one in that corner as well. So the water should run down. And because this plate is raised and it's not going to be able to come over top of this that easily, I ended up putting a limber hole over here as well. So basically both ends of the plate, so water can't sit in here in the corner over here, and it can't, like if it can't get over the plate, it can go around. That's the thought behind that anyways. There's not a whole lot left to do, but there's probably another day's worth of welding and stuff back here just to get everything cleaned up and ready. We have some brackets to make to accept the plywood for the bed. Yeah, that's about it, I think. Oh, and the autopilot, but that won't be until we get the rudder shaft pushed back up. So we'll have to get the rudder pushed back up, and then I can build the brackets for the autopilot.
Thanks so much for watching, and an extra shout out to our patrons for helping to give us that extra boost throughout these projects. See you next week.